We are here in Paris with Thomas from Bitpanda. I am swagged out. Thank you guys so much for all of the swag yesterday. I got my Bitpanda socks on, t-shirt on, absolutely epic swag. And thank you guys for coming. Thomas, super great to be with you here this
My
morning.
pleasure. My pleasure.
Before we kick things off, would love it if you could give a bit of an intro about yourself and what Bitpanda does.
Fantastic. So thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a lovely setup. I love being in Paris. And who am I? In two words, essentially, I've been with Bitpanda for about 2 years now. In September last year, I was given the opportunity to take care of the French market specifically and grow our presence here for our retail, so B2C business. What's Bitpanda? In a few words, we're about 4.5 million users now on the platform, European customers specifically. We offer a variety of digital assets. Primarily, we're known for crypto. We've got about 400 crypto assets on the platform, 40 of which are available for staking. And our real USP effectively is simplicity and security. So we want to target the mass market. You, me, the next person in the street who wants to do their first investment in crypto. They don't want a really busy platform. They want something really easy to use. And that's why one of the reasons why we're here today is to bring about that awareness that we're here. Crypto is becoming increasingly popular. And you want to showcase our brand, basically.
Amazing. And so I guess, would you call it like an exchange? Is it a wallet? How would you describe the product?
Yeah, so we're not an exchange. We're a broker. So instead of like an exchange, essentially you've got sort of like the one point where you get all of your cryptos. We work with exchanges to provide cryptocurrencies along with other assets, obviously, to our customers. This gives us a really unique positioning for our consumers because we work with about 8 or 10 different exchanges in the background. We're able to offer the best price on the assets that we provide to our customers. So it's one of the other USPs that we have. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about maybe the differentiating factors between Bitpanda and maybe other competitors? Just because I know this is like a very, very competitor heavy space. I used to work at an exchange. I know it's different, but you're still trying to attract retail users. It's a very, very competitive space. Can you talk about maybe why you think that there is a need for this, in this space?
So, I mean, the biggest feedback that I get from our users that come sometimes from other exchanges or who open an account with us on the side of other exchanges is simplicity. Is that you get to another platform, I don't know, Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, whoever it may be, and so for some people it's perfect because they like to look at their screens all day and do the day trading thing. But for a lot of consumers out there and a lot of investors, they're just looking for an easy solution to put a regular amount of money at a regular time frame, the famous dollar cost averaging, right? So invest every week or every month a similar amount on the same asset. And we offer a platform that does just that and nothing extra. There's no faff around it. So we don't have like huge leverage positions. We don't have products that are overly complicated. So we really simplify as much as we can so that the mass market is really gets the appeal of actually joining and being part of the crypto story. Maybe I can give you a few extra facts, right? Is that right now in France specifically, there's a report that came out a few weeks back that said that about 10% of the population holds crypto. So 10% of 60 million, you do the math, about 6 million people. But actually 26% are actually interested in crypto investments, but have actually never done one, right? And one of the reasons why is complexity, is that they see all these platforms. Where are they based? What are they doing? Are they in Europe? Are they not in Europe, et cetera, et cetera? And ourselves as a broker based in Europe, providing a simple interface responds to that need.
No, absolutely. And can you talk about the staking? Because that was really interesting. I think you mentioned there's 40 different assets you can stake.
Yeah, correct.
That's incredibly good. Yeah. It's much higher than most others. How do you provide that? And how do you kind of explain staking to these users? Because that is technically a more complex function.
It is, yeah. So the way that I like to explain it is, first of all, so for the 40 stakeable coins that we have a great offer. So there's no lock-in periods. So you can start You can start today and finish tomorrow or in 2 hours. It doesn't matter.
Oh wow.
There's no warm up periods or nothing at all. So it's super flexible for the
all,
user.
for all assets.
All of the assets, all of them, even Ethereum, no problem. We do it on all of the 40 stakeable assets. The way that we try to explain staking to our users is really like making your money work in a traditional TradFi sense. When you've got like a simple savings account that just gives you a regular yield, same thing but with crypto. So you leave your crypto on chain to make the blockchain work, and you get some rewards for it. So that's the simple way of explaining it to equal it to a more TradFi product, basically. And it resonates quite well with our community. I wouldn't say everybody's a massive adopter of it, but the APYs that you get on certain coins are quite attractive, and some people have large amounts invested in those coins. And we just tell them, well, why don't you stake a part of it and get an actual APY on it?
If it's this may just be a product or something, a question, because this is how I'm kind of thinking about it. If you're able to take it out at any time, can you just auto stake it? Because I mean,
what do you mean by auto stake it? You mean for
like,
as in automatically you buy the asset and it's staked already?
It's staking it automatically.
Well, we need to have a permission from the user to do that. We can't really auto do it. We have to ask them.
Oh, okay.
Like because obviously it's an investment tool. You can't really say once you've bought it you have to stake it automatically. It's the same thing with our product, another product that we have, which is Cash Plus. So all the non-invested cash that you have on our platform is subject to a 4% yield for euros. I think it's 5% for British pounds and stuff like that. But we have to ask the user, are you okay with us doing it? And it has to be a voluntary action from the user. It's just a compliance thing.
No, that's really interesting. I guess, I mean, could there be a function? Well, maybe this is already thinking. I'm just, it's really interesting and cool how you can pull out at any time. Mm-hmm. That is very unique, and as I'm sure you know, a really valuable thing to a lot of users who are just getting in, because it takes away a lot of the like, oh, if I lock up my money for however long, you know, if the price goes down, I'm gonna be screwed. And I think it can also just make it more of a attractive product. No, that's really cool. Could you talk maybe about kind of the regions that you guys are in right now? Like, because I'm obviously American, could I access this in the US? Is this coming? So learn more there too.
Our focus is primarily Europe.
Okay, where in Europe?
So we accept today. It's more of a it's a priorities thing, but it's also a KYC capability thing. So every single user that comes to our platform has to do a KYC. You have to make sure that we know who the customer is to avoid AML.
Keep out the North Korean.
The boring stuff, basically, of like making sure that we're compliant on all of those terms. We remain a scale-up business, so we're not a massive company, right? We're one of the challengers in the ecosystem, like you mentioned. It's quite a crowded space.
It is.
So we need to have focus. The American market, the Asian markets, they're super interesting, but if you dilute your efforts, essentially you go nowhere. So our focus primarily at the moment is Europe, and for that reason, our capacity for onboarding users is solely in Europe for the moment. So there's a list of 40 countries that you can find on the website that are for who we accept for businesses as well as customers. We do both. So as a US citizen, you wouldn't be able to onboard on Bitpanda today. Nonetheless, if you are a French citizen based out of the US, you can do it. It's
giving me FOMO. We'll have to sign up some people from our team to try it out.
Exactly. So I think you're based out in Madrid or something like that. So if you have a residency in Madrid, you could do it.
Well, I have a French passport. It's probably easier than...
Oh, that even better. Yeah. As long as you have a European passport, we can do the KYC.
That's amazing. Cool. Okay, so I want to get into maybe the like adoption and stuff. Like how's it going so far? Like how's the adoption been? How's it been going?
Yeah, so we've seen, obviously, I mean, I'm sure you guys must have seen it as well on your end, is that since November last year and the rumors around the ETFs and everything out of the US, the market sort of started picking up a bit. We had the first part of 2023 was relatively stable, flat, sort of waiting for things to happen. So we started to see a big increment in new users coming to the platform, but also users that sort of let everything go after 2022 and starting to come back, having the appeal on some of the assets that they held but didn't touch. So 100% activities come back. The ETFs in January were a big boost as well. There was a bit of a slowdown early Feb, and then end of Feb, like, just went with Bitcoin obviously going to the ATH. It was incredible the amount of traction that we got, and it was quite fortunate because we had marketing campaigns planned around March and April now anyways, so it's coming in at the right time. Specifically for France, we actually had our record month in March.
Congrats.
So we've
That's
done,
awesome.
it was a hard effort, but it was really good for us to see the results of all of the efforts that we've been putting in place. So localizing the product as much as we can, serving the French people as best as we can, being present in the media, doing these sorts of podcasts as well with francophone medias, obviously. So all of this just helped us get to this point, and we're really positive on the trend that the ecosystem as a whole has built since end of 2022. More institutional investment, better regulation here in Europe anyways, and we're really positive about what's going to happen in the next few months.
That's awesome. And I'd love to kind of dive in because, we have a very international audience. Yep. Can you talk about, just thinking from an audience perspective, and I think it was really interesting, you mentioned there's like 10% of people in France who have crypto, 26% of people. I think in the US it's higher now. It's like something like 25% of people have crypto.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that. Maybe Coinbase or something filled that gap, or maybe it's just easier to adopt. But I feel like, what do you think? Is it ease of use? Is there something different about being in France or even just Europe in general than other markets that make you guys successful? That, like, do Europeans want to use like a European product? Do they want to use a French product? Like, what is that?
The French are a bit particular with that, I think.
Talk about that. That's interesting.
So there's two things. First of all, obviously, I'm not US based, so it's hard for me to comment on that situation. But here in Europe, we have a lot of big influence from the mass media that produces a lot of misinformation or not necessarily the correct information about crypto, and it really cools people down when it comes to adoption. If you have, like, for the US example of CNN saying that Bitcoin's tanking, essentially the whole country's listening to that, and it really puts in the shade all of the good stuff that's been happening in the ecosystem. So this is something that we're seeing quite a lot of here in Europe, like misconceptions and not necessarily the right message being put through.
What's driving that?
Just it's very hard to tell because a lot of people are very emotional when it comes to money, and you hear stories of this guy or that guy who lost all of his cash or all of his investment money in XYZ crypto, and it really cools people off. And I don't know, the media is a bit of a frenzy, so they hear about a story that's going to sell, and they're going to publish and repush that topic until the bones dry, basically. And that it catches a lot among the mass media. That said, when the positive stuff come out, the same reaction doesn't happen, just because either it's internal within the media that they don't want to push the topic. So it's more of a decision thing, I suppose, internally for them. But by doing what we're doing here, by doing what we're doing at the Paris Blockchain Week as well, it's helping really to get more people interested. And that 6 million people, 10% that we were talking about, is growing slowly. So last year, we had a 30% growth in the amount of people that held crypto in France. So it is working.
That's crazy.
And with the work of influencers, the work of people like you guys, again, the media, the specialized media, that's actually really gaining traction. And it's becoming inevitable, really, in the investment landscape, in Europe anyways, that crypto is a really good asset to diversify your portfolio, and people are starting to pay attention to it. So that's the main reason why we don't have such a big adoption here compared to other locations like the US. And then the second part I would say is cultural. Even within Europe, we have countries that are a lot more bullish on crypto than others. In France, I know that we have a lot of traditional financial assets where you would you'd easily put your money in because it's state backed, or you get a guaranteed yield on the cash that you invest. So that's the sort of go-to for a majority of the population. Crypto remains an asset that you use for diversifying, as opposed to your first investment that you're doing. So we're trying to change things a bit, but we are realistic over the fact that we remain on the margins so far of investment in Europe.
What assets are you seeing people buy? Is it Bitcoin? Is it like what is leading sort of market adoption right now?
For us, it's for us at Bitpanda, because we're a platform that's for ease of use and for first investments. Obviously, Bitcoin is the number one asset that we see on a regular basis come up as the most traded asset on our platform. Stable coins as well. We're a very good tool for on-ramp and off-ramp. So people essentially use us as a sort of to get into the ecosystem and then move money around between their wallets if they have multiple wallets on different platforms. So we've seen a lot of that. And then Ethereum is obviously number two most of the time. And then we have the others like Cardano and Solana that are also there in the background. The other thing that we see a lot of as well is the new coins that are coming out. So we have a dedicated product called Spotlight, which essentially is literally putting the spotlight on a specific project that we're working with. And it's interesting to see because in the Paris blockchain, we have a lot of projects that are here present, and a lot of them we've actually listed through that mechanism, right? And whenever we list one of those coins on our platform and they get a bit of marketing exposure on our end, obviously that coin comes up in terms of the volumes that are traded on that particular week or that particular day. So, but the majority, it's mostly Bitcoin and the traditional coins that you might find.
Very interesting. So you think people are coming in and it's still Bitcoin that's like their first purchase?
Yeah. I mean, it's the OG, right? I mean, it's
no, I love Bitcoin. No,
it's for me. Even for me, I mean, it's my biggest position, just because to me the asset makes so much sense. Like for us as a society, it's the asset to look at, really, the biggest value add.
100%. So kind of getting into, I guess, the longer term play here, like once you have that, let's say, 6 million to 26 million or whatever the percentage ends up being, where do we go from here? Like, do you see crypto as something being used as just a diversification tool for most people in terms of their investment? Do you see it as being a payment rail, all of the above? Like, how do you kind of see it, especially in Europe, being integrated? Because like obviously in other parts of the world, they're like, we're going to be using this to buy food at a cafe. That might not be the case, or maybe you see it that way. Love to kind of get your thoughts on that.
I think it will remain for the time being as an investment opportunity. The reason being is that regulation is going to come into play. As I see this all the time, right? Is that the US innovates, China replicates, and Europe regulates, right? That sort of trio of things. And fortunately, in my opinion, it is a good thing, because you need some regulation to be able to move forward with security in an ecosystem, to avoid cases where you have a lot of fraud or whatever happened in 2022 and before that. So the way I see it is that it will remain an investment opportunity for a lot of people. Some very specific users will be very bullish and actually go all the way to use their crypto to pay for stuff. We at Bitpanda actually have a debit card that you can pay with your assets that you hold, and not just crypto, but also gold or shares, whatever you might have on our platform. So some people do it, but the majority will keep it as an investment opportunity. And then I envision that the regulation will potentially not prevent, but they'll put the brakes on using it for payment methods or that sort of stuff, because they ultimately crypto bypasses the TradFi system, right? And people at the government make money on the TradFi system, right? Let's be clear. So for them, it's a net loss if everybody starts using crypto for payment purposes. There's a net loss everywhere in the system, so that they can't allow that. Right? That's
very interesting. What countries in Europe would you say are the most friendly to crypto and most or least friendly?
I wouldn't be able to answer that just from a pure regulation perspective, because we have MiCA coming in at the end of the year, which is like the European the new European directive on crypto assets. Everybody's going to be on the same sort of level.
Okay, wow.
Then you have a directive. The country can interpret it the way that they want, but the directive is going to be very strict, and we're working on it at Bitpanda to make sure that we're compliant with those directives. And it's going to level out the playing field. So today, for example, the BaFin in Germany is notorious for having a very strong regulatory context. Same thing here in France with the AMF, very strong regulatory context. There's some others that are a bit looser, but more or less, I would say Europe is on a very level playing field when it comes to regulation.
Besides regulation, though, in terms of just adoption or bullishness.
From adoption perspective, fair enough. So I'm going to talk numbers just because it's the facts that have come out of the last few weeks. You can see that, for example, the Germans and the Brits are a bit more bullish when it comes to crypto investments compared to like the French, for example, or Southern European countries. I guess it's a question of what is your traditional investment? What are you competing against? If a lot of people are putting money in traditional assets, why would they put money on a more volatile, risky asset, right? So, yeah, you see more crypto adoption over in Germany and the UK compared to France. That's the facts that we've seen from surveys and just general adoption. Yeah.
Is it in between the Germany and UK? Which one is like number one?
I think Germany's a bit higher.
Germany.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I'm not German myself, so it's very hard to actually understand why. Even from our perspective, what we see at Bitpanda, but we're Austrian, right? So the language similarities means that the Germans have more appeal to work with us, of course. So our volumes in Germany are significantly higher than they would be in France, for example. But it's very hard to actually say why the Germans are more bullish on crypto. Like, for me, it's a mystery. I haven't done more research on it, to be honest, but it's probably, for me, it might be something to do with how people manage their money in Germany is probably different from how they do it in France. So I wouldn't be able to pinpoint exactly the reason why.
That's super interesting. Can you talk about the name of the company? I don't know. Do you know why it was named Bitpanda?
I'm not sure why it was named Bitpanda, but we used to be Coinimal, and because we're going to be 10 years old this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were in the inception of the company was 2014. We switched over, I think it's 2016, 2017 when we switched from Coinimal to Bitpanda and did a whole brand shift there. And we had I like the name. I think it's cool. It makes it a bit of a, it's out there, right? At least you hear it, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And okay, so let's take it back to where we are now. We're in Paris.
Yeah.
How's the event been going for you guys so far?
Really, really solid. For us, the aim of us being at the Paris Blockchain Week is not only to be here for ourselves, but also be here for others. So, like I said, that we saw lots of projects, lots of partners. We were talking to influencers yesterday at our side event as well to see how we can work better together to bring the crypto topic to the people in France, and not just crypto influencers, just literally of all walks of life. So really, really positive to have those kinds of conversations. And we actually tomorrow we're participating in the Starting Block, which is like the sort of startup competition that they have at Paris Blockchain Week, and we're sponsors of it as well. So it's also about giving back to the community, and we're a unicorn, so we haven't made it, but we're higher up the ladder than where we were at the beginning. So now it's time for us as well to look at other people that are doing super exciting projects and which we want to support. And then to go in hand with that, we've started recently an investment fund with Lead Block Ventures and Bitpanda, and we're essentially trying to fund some of the projects that are out there and try to really help the next gen, if we can say that sort of.
What kind of investments are you guys making right now?
So we're doing a variety of investments in what we're looking to do, a variety of investments. We released one yesterday. I'd have to give you the exact details after maybe you can put it on screen or something like that on what exactly it is. But any project that's got to do with Web3 infrastructure, layer 2, layer 3, whatever it is, that has potential in the ecosystem, is welcome to get in touch with the people that are managing this fund and to try and pitch. Basically, we're here to help and here to hear what kind of exciting projects are out there.
For those at home watching, what would you say about the value of going to Paris Blockchain Week? And are there other events in Europe that you guys will be attending?
The value of Paris Blockchain Week is that you really get an opportunity to talk to a variety of projects on a whole different. We got security people, we got people from, like you said, infrastructure that are present, and it's a good opportunity to get a bit of a pulse of what's happening in the ecosystem for blockchain, but in Europe, very specific to Europe, obviously. It's also a great opportunity to meet people like us who are more B2C focused. We're here with side events and everything to meet our community. So seeing the circle as well. I did an event on Monday. This evening it's more related to the regulatory side of things as well. We got something happening at the finance ministry later on. So it's an opportunity not just to be part of the Barriers Blockchain Week event, but also taking part of the side events and meeting people, networking, having meetings with C-levels of like really big companies or C-levels of very small companies that have really interesting projects. So the overall feedback that I'm getting from the people that attended our event last night, well, because you can have a bit more of a conversation, is it's incredible the breadth of skill that you have at Paris Blockchain Week, from C-levels to CFOs to the guy who's just building something on his laptop next door and just all by himself. And it's a great opportunity if you're interested in this ecosystem to be here.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Well, with that, I just want to say thank you so much for
having me.
Yeah, for doing the interview. Really appreciate everyone for watching. Make sure to follow Bitpanda on social media. Anything else you want to shout out, or?
No, thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to coming back maybe in a few months' time, give you guys a bit of an update on what we've been doing. We've got lots of exciting products coming up on the roadmap. Again, bringing the crypto to the masses in Europe. Loving it.
Let's go. Bitpanda for the win. Thank you so much, Thomas.
Thank you so much.
And cheers, guys.
See you soon.